I'm not sure about the entire world, but Ukraine will definitely be working for BlackRock and similar companies for the next 300 years. And at the same time, with the governments of the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada. From 2014 to 2021, America allocated over $2.5 billion to Ukraine. These are the findings of the Kiel Institute for the World Economy, a German research institute. Since the beginning of 2022, the United States have been the leader in terms of military aid provided to Ukraine. From January 2022 to January 2023, Kyiv received over $46 billion for military purposes. Yes, we spent less on the war in Afghanistan, $43 billion over a little more than 9 years. The United Kingdom doesn't spare any expense also. In 2022, they transferred nearly $3 billion to Kyiv, and they plan to spend the same amount in 2023. Over the course of the year, NATO countries have provided Ukraine with approximately $120 billion in assistance.
I may turn out to be a bad prophet, but I am confident that as soon as peace is established in Ukraine, the flow of dollars and credits will stop. And instead, we will be grabbed by the throat on all fronts, demanding the repayment of these debts. Nobody will care that Ukraine is currently incapable of repaying its debts. It simply cannot. Its debts now exceed our gross domestic product significantly.
In May 2022, Biden signed the Lend-Lease law. This means that Ukraine started receiving weapons and equipment on credit, just like the Soviet Union and the United Kingdom during World War II. Agreeing to this plunder became commitment number 10 for Zelensky in this deal with the devil. The president of Ukraine called it a historic step. I would call it a leap into the abyss. Do you know when Russia repaid its debt to the U.S. for Lend-Lease? In 2006. It took them over 60 years to repay the debt. Ukraine already owes the European Union $132 billion, which is 90% of its GDP. Even freezing payments will not allow the economy to settle its debts on time. Meanwhile, the country is experiencing rampant inflation. Food prices have risen by 26.5%. The poverty rate has jumped from 5.5% to 24%, affecting over 7 million people. The country has lost 1/5 of its territory. And, most importantly, hundreds of thousands of lives have been lost.
He ran as a peace candidate. He turned around and betrayed that. And what's always astounded to me is that how he manages to keep so many regular Ukrainian boys going into this war to get themselves killed in a war that they simply cannot win, and yet they keep going. Just in Bakhmut, by the way, the Ukrainians lost more men than the United States lost in the entire Vietnam War.
So the rights of millions of citizens have been trampled upon. Ukrainian men are being sent to the front lines to be slaughtered like sacrificial lambs, snatched right off the streets. The Russian language and culture have been practically eradicated. The canonical church is on the verge of being outlawed. The country has been turned into a safari for foreign mercenaries and a testing ground for bloody experiments. Agent Volodymyr Zelensky has accomplished the tasks assigned by foreign intelligence agencies. The question is, will those in power still need someone who knows too much and wants too much?
You have had many film roles. Which one is your favorite? I would say that Servant of the People is probably my favorite.
The year is 2015. It's the premiere of the first season of Servant of the People series. According to the credits, the producer was Volodymyr Zelensky. In reality, he wasn't producing it by himself. Instead, his promotion had begun. No wonder such a role became one of his favorites. Zelensky portrayed the character Vasily Goluborodko, a school history teacher who becomes the president of Ukraine.
I want to compare that situation to situation where, for example, you come into the plane, you boarding, and you take in your seat, and now you see the man who look like a pilot, who dress like a pilot, who speak like a pilot, greeting passengers, but who is not a pilot at all, who is an actor, who played the pilot in response for your life.
Before the presidential elections, no one had seen a single press conference from the showman. Only interviews and videos were broadcast. Well, you understand, it makes it possible to retake or rewrite a dumb answer. Almost all statements Zelensky made were on behalf of the cinematic president Goloborodko.
To all the people who want to quarrel with us, to divide our country, to separate us by color, by language, and so on, to all of you, I can't speak for myself, as I am a person of culture, so let one of the characters familiar to everyone, Vasily Goloborodko, say it. And all the rest of you, villains, go to hell. In all this story, the Ukrainian population became the object of manipulation. The creation of the TV series Servant of the People, in which he was prepared for his role, marked the beginning of imposing an image on people that he could be a potential head of state. And after that, he ran for elections. It was an absolutely skillful manipulation.
Now watch the hands. The final third season of Servant of the People was released just 4 days before the first round of the presidential election. Vasily Goloborodko emerged victorious, became the head of the country, and transformed it into a powerful and prosperous nation. Damn. This is the best pre-election campaign in the history of mankind. And it worked. In real life, on the 21st of April, Volodymyr Zelentsky defeated Petro Poroshenko with over 70%, 23% of the votes. Clearly, such a scenario was not created in Ukraine, nor by Ukraine. Here, our compatriots are ahead of the entire planet.
The role of Hollywood in Washington, D.C., it is, first of all, it's not the decision makers, but this is creators of idea, concepts. So if the idea flying well with the audience, you can repeat that idea in real life, in real politics, and it's gonna play. So this is similarity in that Servant of People TV series and a film of Chris Rock produced and directed, Head of State, when it was a black president who come from a Democratic Party and served the people.
And if this works, why not replicate the scheme in a country close to Russia? And why not elect someone there based on the same principle? Someone who is unconditionally following orders.
That is a carefully prepared operation by one of the intelligence services, or all of the intelligence services in the United States and in NATO, to make sure that their guy is in charge and will do what they tell him to do, rather than somebody who has ideas of his own.
A carefully prepared operation by one of the intelligence agencies. What a revelation. Michael, thank you for this. It allows us to look at the following facts with an understanding of who is behind them. Let's figure out how and with whose help Washington started pushing actor and comedian Zelensky.